Don't be alarmed. The quasi-shimmering light before you is a trans-dimensional gateway to other worlds, other voices, other thoughts, and other realities. Up feels like down, and down feels like the number 7 on a Wednesday morning. Don't worry. That quivering, blood-boiling sensation under your eyebrows is all a part of the charm. Welcome to the PCC Multiverse.
And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here for the PCC Multiverse. Pop culture cosmos, inside sports, fantasy football, and the state of pro wrestling. Truly appreciate you joining us for all the fun and merriment that we have. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend indeed. He is the mastermind, the pop culture guru himself. It is, of course, TJ Johnson. What's up, my friend?
How we doing, G? Good to talk to you.
Well, I don't know if it'll be so good after we talk about where the state of the video game industry is in, but we are going with this episode more into the video game synopsis. I know that there's a lot of stuff to talk about on the pop culture end, and I will save that for another conversation because I know that a lot of people are talking about what's going on with Supergirl, the Bear, the House of the Dragon, and whatnot. But I want to package that in its own conversation. But yes, definitely want to look forward to talking about what we're going to be talking about here today with the video game industry, because coming off the high, TJ, of the Summer Games Fest period, not E3, should be E3, isn't E3, and it'll never be E3 again, which makes me depressed it's not E3. So with that being said, it still was some good vibes coming out there. Xbox, Nintendo, Summer Games Fest, even PlayStation on a, to some extent had some things positive to show the community. Well, I don't know, just the timing. And it's not just Xbox this time around. You take a look at what PlayStation has just done. You take a look at what Steam just introduced at a high price. You take a look at all the things that's gone on here in recent days. Tell me where you want to start, because there's so much to cover in the video game industry right now, my friend.
Oh my goodness. I mean, you could flip a coin or throw a dart at a board and hit something that's kind of be worthwhile. I think we need to start with Grand Theft Auto. I mean, that's the big elephant in the room, or the elephant in the bigger room or smaller room. I don't know. I think we start with Grand Theft Auto, though.
It is indeed. And I do not, first off, already say that there's already 30 million copies pre-sold. I think if we saw that type of number already out there within the first 48 hours
24
or so,
hours, yeah.
I think we would already have heard like sites crashing, things of that nature. And I'm hearing that it's obviously going to do well. No one is going to argue with you on that. Whether or not it's going to be the biggest entertainment launch in history, I would have told you last year, absolutely, no doubt. But before we get into it with all the controversy with the disc itself, did I say a bad word? I must have. But with the box itself, where is GTA 6 as it comes out here later this year in the standing? Because I think it's going to be a microcosm of the video game industry, because if you're only coming out to PlayStation and Xbox, and one part of this equation in Xbox is fading and trying hard to lose whatever customers it has with recent decisions, including earlier today. And then you have PlayStation itself underwhelming at every turn with the lack of first-party exclusives. Seemingly the only option for many now buying GTA 6. And again, they will sell their share of PlayStation 5s. I just don't see them replicating the kind of short and long-term success that GTA 5 did, as far as that's concerned. I think GTA 6 will dollar amount surpass, obviously, what was done 15 years ago, thereabouts. Or 12, but however many years ago, over a decade ago.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, I mean, just the sheer amount of dollars, where inflation's at, of course it's going to do. But the number of sales, if you tell me that it's going to do over or under 100 million sales, I don't know, that under 100 million sales might actually start looking better as far as the odds are concerned.
Yeah, I I don't know. I think that it's really the train is too big at this point. I don't think that it can't do those numbers. Um, but here's what I will say: that they didn't do themselves any favors. Obviously, they opened up the releases for anybody that doesn't know, and I'm shocked if you didn't know. If you're listening to a pop culture podcast or a radio show and you didn't know that Grand Theft Auto went on pre-sale yesterday. But spoiler alert: Grand Theft Auto 6 went on pre-sale yesterday. And the low low prices or the bargains of 79.99 and 99.99 for the standard and the ultimate edition of both games and or of said game. Went on pre-sale yesterday. Obviously, all the major retailers are talking about it. GameStop was talking about it. IGN was talking about it. Obviously, you can pre-order through all of those of the above. You can pre-order through Amazon, and a couple of the other big things about it is obviously the physical, quote unquote, physical copies of these games that are coming out will not be physical copies at all. They'll actually be cases that have digital download codes. So even if you get a physical copy at a retailer, which why are we bothering selling? Because there's no disc in said copy, you're going to just get a digital download code anyway. So you better be online to download this game. And then obviously we don't know what the size is. I'm hearing upwards of 250 gigabytes, possibly even 300. I don't know if that's true or not. However, this is going to be kind of a
Oh,
big
it's
deal.
true,
So
but and that's not even accounting for GTA
GTA Online, yeah,
Online that comes out maybe next year at the earliest.
yeah. So with all that being said, I don't think that it cannot be as big of a deal as it has become. I don't think that. I don't know if it's possible at this point for that juggernaut, that train to be stopped or stalled because of just it's Grand Theft Auto and the wait has been forever, and the fever pitch for it has been at its highest and is not going away. But I will say that they're not doing themselves any favors for a couple things. One, this $80 version, first of all, the $8 price point is already one of those things that people have already been talking about. They've wondered what the price is going to be. You and I have had conversations about it. I even told you I wouldn't be surprised if they put it at $100, just because it's Grand Theft Auto. And obviously they have done that for the Ultimate Edition, and for the Standard Edition, they've just gone with the $80, and we've already seen that done. Nintendo's already done it, so it's not like they're the first to do it. However, with Rockstar being the juggernaut that it is, people are watching, and people are going to be curious as to if other companies now start to follow suit with that, and we could see that happening. I wouldn't be surprised. The cost of developing games is continuously going up, and I wouldn't be surprised if they start to pass that on to the consumer. Unfortunately, it's just kind of the way it works. Now, the flip side to this is this $100 price point that they're getting for the Ultimate Edition has locked out some things that the consumer, we, myself, feel like should be included in the Standard Edition. And the fact that we're getting it locked out behind a paywall is a little bit discerning to me. And now I understand that a lot of the things are cosmetic, or a lot of the things are um, like vehicles or a storehouse you can raid, or they're not things that are going to be hugely impactful to the overall gameplay. However, for an $80 game that's taken 13 years, 15 years, however long it's taken for this game to come out and finally come to fruition after multiple upon multiple of delays, I kind of feel like it's a bit of a slap in the face to the consumer. But the truth of the matter is, people are still going to buy it. It's not the numbers are not going to stop. The people purchasing it are not going to stop. The pre-orders are not going to stop. I think the only thing that really causes the pause, right, is this idea that there's no physical disc behind it. Call me a purist, call me old, call me whatever you want to call me. But if I buy a physical game, I expect to have a physical disc. And I don't think that's asking a lot.
Now, Nintendo has been doing this kind of stuff already with the
Yeah, well,
Switch
they at
games.
least they had at least they had key cards. At least there was still something in there. There's a code. There is a digital download code in said game. So even if you have Nintendo, you have a key card. If you go to trade in if you go to get rid of that game, you can still trade in that key card. Like it's still yours to do with as you
Unless you have
see
the
fit.
Just Dance games. I think I
Unless you
have
have
the
the
Just
Just
Dance
Dance
games.
games.
I think I have a Just Dance game that my daughter said, "What do we do?" Oh, it's a download code. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
a
a
code.
box,
Yeah,
Dad. Yeah,
yeah,
I know. It's just a box. Yeah, I know. All right,
yeah,
but no, I
yeah.
get
Key
you. I get
cards
you.
are
And
one thing. Yeah.
but some retailers, smaller retailers at this point, there's no mass, because an Amazon or Walmart, they're not stupid enough to
Hmm.
go ahead and do this because
Hmm.
they love money. So in doing so, there are smaller retailers who are trying to put up the good fight at this point in time.
And say
Who
no.
are
Yeah,
as far as not accepting pre-orders, whatnot for GTA 6 is a
yeah.
small backlash, but that's just like, a whisker on a cat compared to what exactly it's going to be able to
Exactly.
be doing overall.
Exactly. And they knew going in that there were going to be some people, purists out there who were going to, back in my day, and we should have a disc and da da da. They say, yeah, we know, we understand that you guys are going to be upset, but here's where we are. This is what we're doing. So if you want to play the game, this is what you're going to have to do to do it. Um, that part does suck. That part does suck to me, but it doesn't change the fact that this is going to be a monumental thing. It's still going to be a monumental sell. The fact that we're not getting Grand Theft Auto Online until next year is really not a big deal because it's exactly what they did with Grand Theft Auto 5. They gave us the game first. You got through the game, you got through the story, and then lo and behold, they brought on um, Grand Theft Auto Online, which obviously took on this whole life of its own. Where it gets interesting is in the marketing and in this whole it plays best on PlayStation and the best way to play is on PlayStation. But then you look at exactly what that means. What does it mean when it says plays best on PlayStation consoles? It has the haptic feedback controllers with the dual sense. Okay, all right. So the vibrations are going to be there. It's got the speaker that talks to you through through the controller. Okay, well, that's pretty cool. I don't feel like any of those are game breaking or truly, awe-inspiring pieces of technology that are going to make me say I have to play it on PlayStation. The only thing that would make me say I have to play it on the PlayStation is if the load times are substantially better on the PS5 Pro versus the Xbox Series X. And obviously, that's stuff that we still need to wait and see about. But that's going to be the determining factor for me personally on if it's going to be if it's going to be a PlayStation purchase or an Xbox purchase. Now, I lean towards Xbox. You know that. I know that. I think the world knows that at this point. I definitely lean towards Xbox. But I will say that if it's going to be a competition between what's going to be the better product or what's going to give me the better experience, I do have a PS5 Pro, so I will be leaning towards that if I'm going to get the better experience on the PS5 Pro. But again, that's the big if, and we still need to see a little bit more specs on that. Um, it's just it's going to be it's getting to a point now where as we've talked about, we're starting to get priced out. A lot of the average consumers starting to get priced out in the games, and that kind of goes into a segue to the consoles. And obviously we've seen the news as of this morning on June 25th, that Xbox has raised the price on consoles yet again. This is what, the third time these consoles have gone up in price now, I want to say. When I bought the original Series X way back when in 2020, it was at $500, and that was for the console and the controller, the disc-based console and controller. And now it's going for the low, 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 low price of was it $799 now for the 1 terabyte?
Oh, we'll get to
799
that in
something.
a second here. We'll get to that in a second. Let's get to GTA. I got those prices coming up, my friend. Oh yeah, yeah. We're
Oh,
gonna have lots to say about that here when it comes
yes,
coming up.
yes, we do. Yes, we do. But at the end of the day, Grand Theft Auto is still going to be the hugest game release of the last 10 years for sure. And I don't think there's anything that's really going to be able to stop that. I don't even think Grand Theft Auto could stop how big of a release Grand Theft Auto is going to be. Rockstar couldn't do anything about it at this point. It kind of is what it is. And we are all just we are all just along for the ride at this point. I'm I'm betting that easily sells 30 to 40 million copies its first year. I mean, it's just not.
Just people always talk about the arrogance of Sony. I like to go
Yes.
ahead and talk about the arrogance of 2K,
Yes.
because they are just absolutely just do not care what you think. And
Mm-mm.
the rumors of $100 entry point for GTA 6, while it did prove to be somewhat false because there is an $80, which is $10 more than regular games now are,
Mhm.
is the barrier of entry, and $100 if you want the more fuller experience, because there are some
Right.
certain shops, things you can do in the game that will be locked behind the paywall. So you'll have to pay the extra $20 in order to get that. So God forbid you can't
Right.
put on those cool shoes on your person in regards to that, because you just can't have it, because it's just you didn't pay the extra $20 in doing so. So
Right.
that to me sends a bad signal as far as what they're doing. The fact that they don't have GTA Online ready this time around, you've only had, I don't know, over a decade to get this game ready, and you couldn't have online features, the online, which extends the lifespan of this game exponentially. You couldn't get that together in time for the launch. That just still blows me away. And then also, as well, of course, the fact that, again, they're trying to pawn a physical version that it has nothing inside this physical version except for a game code that's for you to download anyways, which again gets a lot of feedback. And I'm not the biggest defender of physical games. I like physical
Mhm.
games, but if you've heard our show over the years, Josh Peterson, he has carried that as the white knight of physical games. He's got his shield and his sword, and he's ready to go to battle. And I can see him charging the 2K headquarters at some point in time down the road. So I will get his thoughts next time he's in the chair with me on that. But be that as it may, I just see it as a reality of where we are in 2026. But to go and do that in as far as the largest video game release of this decade, and to just sit there and smack the face of people by saying, "Hey, look, I'm bringing you out a physical copy that has nothing that resembles a physical copy. I'm just giving you a case, so you can put whatever other disc in there, or whatever other Blu-ray in there. Go ahead, by all means, put that John Wick Blu-ray in there, because there's nothing else that's going to be able to go in there from GTA 6. It's a slap in the face to gamers,
Yeah.
but they don't care. They don't care. The arrogance of 2K, because GTA 6 will sell. However, I describe the marketplace now, as far as the consoles out, the generation is not as popular as the previous generation. As far as what's going on, console gaming is more expensive. The barrier of entry is much higher now. They're still going to sell a lot of games.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. And they're still going to sell a lot of dollars initially. And it's going to be highly rated and all that, blah, 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 blah. But again, when it comes to what GTA 6 is doing, it could be the tide of the video game industry towards the fact that it is becoming less approachable for a newer audience. And the fact is, for younger players, they're able to go ahead and go into other games such as Roblox and other games. Minecraft still is a popular game to this day. Games that are free that they can play off their phone are going to become more intriguing than what we're seeing with $800, $900 consoles, $1,000+ Steam machines that can play GTA 6 at some point in time. It's just kind of depressing of where, and a kind of a microcosm. And this GTA 6 launch will probably be a turning point of where this video game industry is going forward.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And I'm not one to really get too up in arms about the price point on the game. And the only reason I say that is because, we'll spend money on skins, people will spend money on again, we talked about Roblox, we talked about Minecraft. These games have been out for years and people are still spending money on these games. I had a buddy who spent goodness, he spent hundreds of dollars on Contest of Champions. I don't know if anybody is familiar with that game, but it's a mobile game where you have Marvel fighters and you fight amongst each other, and it's a mobile PvP fighting game, right? But he spent hundreds of dollars on that game, and he's had it for years. So people will spend the money. I'm not so much on them about the price because if anything has proven to be worth a premium price, it is Grand Theft Auto. Playing Grand Theft Auto 5 or playing Grand Theft Auto 4, just the last few Grand Theft Auto games in general have just been pieces of work. and have really warranted the price point that they've come in at. So the $80 price point, that doesn't bother me. The difference, this disparaging between the 80 to the $100, I think that's a bit of a slap in the face. But as far as the $80 price point, I'm okay with some games, some manufacturers, some publishers putting out saying, hey, our product is worth $80 and we stand behind that. And it's been proven to be the case. I would absolutely spend $80 on Grand Theft Auto. That part doesn't bother me. The $100 or the fact that I'm not getting some stuff, that bothers me. But the price point of $80, I'm not mad about that. I think GTA justifies premium pricing. I really do, and I don't feel too bad about that. I think what's interesting is that, and they've had this thing for the last 20 years, is the no PC at launch. I'm not upset about that because it gives them the opportunity to really focus on the consoles and making sure that the console games are up to snuff and where they need to be. And obviously, with delay after delay after delay, I'm completely fine with them saying, "Hey, we need to make sure we get the consoles right." And once the consoles are right, then we can look at going into the PC market as they've done years prior. This is anything new for them. It really just lets them optimize the hardware configurations for the consoles, and I'm completely fine with that too. And honestly, it gives them an opportunity to double dip. You get your console players, and then after you get your console players, and then they fade off or go into Grand Theft Auto Online, now we can start bringing the PC players into the mix and allowing them to enjoy Grand Theft Auto, and then getting them put online. And so it's double dipping. Companies do it all the time. It kind of just is the way of the world, unfortunately.
So those are our thoughts on GTA 6 as the pre-orders now available. Not even a video. They showed you screenshots. Not even
Yeah.
enough class to show you a new trailer. Not even or a gameplay trailer, which again bucks the trend. They got to go and buck the trend. And sometimes it's really cool to buck the trend of what other companies are doing. But when you do it in this fashion, it's just like, we're continuing to give you the middle finger, and you're still going to keep on running towards us. You're still going to keep on begging for our product because they know what they can literally do anything right now with GTA 6, and it won't really matter because people at the end of the day will still buy it in droves, and it's just that simple.
Well, I will push back and I would say this. They've given themselves the track record of showing how good they are. So right now, yes, but if GTA 6 absolutely took a nosedive and was a complete turd, which none of us believe it's going to be, but if it just happened to take a complete nosedive and we realize it is the worst piece of crap walking God's green earth, then that would absolutely change the minds of consumers. And then the next Grand Theft Auto, we're not going to be as lenient towards that. But unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you are, Grand Theft Auto is proven to be able to deliver the levels that we've come to expect from it, and then some. So it puts them in. I don't know if it's really a thing of super arrogance. I think that there is a little bit of confidence, and they deserve the right to be confident because look at their track record. Um, but I think it's honestly, I think it's well deserved confidence. They've proven that they can do it, and they've proven it time after time. It's not like they're putting out turds. It's not like obviously, the remaster of the Grand Theft Auto trilogy. Okay, that was a turd. But that was definitely a turd. But as far as their numbered entries into the Grand Theft Auto series, or even the Red Dead Redemption series, not even close to turds. Not even close. So I think they've earned a little bit of it. I know I'm almost signing pro company right now, and I don't mean to, but I will say that if anybody has earned the right to kind of blaze their own path, it has been Rockstar and Grand Theft Auto.
So with that, it is GTA 6. Grand Theft Auto 6 is actually a done deal as far as coming out this year, come out in November. We'll go ahead and make sure we provide you with great coverage of GTA 6, the highs, the lows, the pushback, and of course, ultimately the great success that it will achieve in the video game industry later this year. And while I don't think 30 million have been pre-ordered at this point in time, because I would be pretty aware if people were pre-ordering it like crazy right now, like if it was a BTS concert tour or something like that. I think I would be pretty aware. I mean, there are people that are pre-ordering it, no question about it. And there might be 5 to 10 million sold right now. But to tell me 30 million and over 3.5 billion out right now, as far as it's concerned, I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't. I can't get there right
So
now. I
it's a
can't
little
get there right now.
inflated,
I can't.
little inflated, little
Yeah,
inflated.
little inflated. But still, I expect a great launch money wise for GTA 6. What are your thoughts out there on GTA 6 at this timeline in the video game industry and the video game history timeline? Because this is a new landscape from when GTA 5 came out. So please let us know your thoughts on GTA 6, Pop Culture Cosmos at yahoo.com. Well, before we get to what's going on with Xbox on the back half of the show, because that's another, gosh, man, it'd be a nice day and a nice show if we didn't talk about Xbox. I can't believe I'm saying that, being that I am an Xbox fan like you. I own 2 Xbox shirts. I've owned every Xbox
Yep.
known to man as far as it's concerned, every single generation. But I would like to stop talking for Xbox about Xbox for just a week, maybe. That would be nice. But no, can't do that. I want to go ahead before we hit the break, my friend. Talk about Bungie
Yeah.
with Sony.
Yeah.
Some bad news. This was
Yeah,
not
man.
unexpected. And while Xbox has their own layoff issues and company developer closures, et cetera, et cetera, let us not go ahead and leave Sony out there as far as innocent in the wind, because Sony and Bungie announced massive layoffs to everyone relating to the Destiny 2 side of things, because Destiny 2 is no longer producing new content. And some members of the underperforming marathon community as well have also been laid off. Your thoughts, my friend? This once huge powerhouse, which powered the early days and greatness of Halo, uh, got a lot of hype, and we all played that famous Destiny demo back in the day, leading into the success of Destiny. But the admittance today among those layoffs that Destiny 2 did not meet expectations, much while they're keeping mum on Marathon, everybody else will tell you that Marathon is also not meeting those expectations. It certainly wasn't worth, and looking like it's not worth, wasn't worth the $3.6 billion investment in Sony acquiring Bungie.
Yeah. That's the unfortunate part of the industry that we love so much, is that, when things don't produce, and when they don't produce to the level that we expect, um, these kind of things happen. And obviously, as we talked about, Microsoft is a bit notorious for that at the moment right now. But I think there's something to be said, and there's a bit of a serendipity, to this particular issue, with Bungie having been originally with Microsoft and working on the Halo games, as you mentioned. I think they did the first 3 Halos, if I'm not mistaken. I know they did 1, 2, and 3. I don't know if they did the spinoff to drop the ODST, or the like Halo Wars. I'm not sure if Bungie was a part of those, so forgive me on that. But I know that they made their namesake off of being the company that helped build Halo. And it was such a slap in the face to Microsoft fans, I believe, when they jumped ship to Sony. Now, I don't know the inner workings. I don't know what happened between Bungie and Microsoft. I don't know if there was a bit of there was an acrimonious relationship with them, or if things just kind of turned sour. Not 100% sure. I'm not sure if Sony just offered more money at the time. It's quite possible. But the truth of the matter is, it was a little bit disheartening when you seen a Bungie title that wasn't associated with Halo and that wasn't associated with Microsoft. So then, fast forward, and now, obviously Halo has come out for multiple other iterations of it that obviously weren't through Bungie. And now that Bungie has effectively been not shuttered, but are getting seriously downsized after the underperforming Destiny 2. It's almost like it's sad. It really is sad, because that these people are doing the best that they can, trying to make a living, and nobody, especially in this economy, wants to see anybody lose their jobs, or lose their livelihood, lose their ability to provide, for their families and whatnot. We also understand that this has been a very, very cutthroat business, and this continues to be a cutthroat business. And uh, unfortunately, those dollars do a lot of talking. If the expectations aren't being met, then you have to figure out ways to kind of cut the losses and cut the fat. And unfortunately, it looks like Bungie was one of those ones that had a lot of fat to beat that needed to be cut, especially if Destiny wasn't performing. And obviously, Marathon's not doing what Marathon was expected to do at this point. There's a lot of fat that needed to be cut. And it's unfortunate because you got a lot of good developers, you got a lot of good people that are working for these companies and working for Bungie that had to be or are going to be let go. I don't know if they've officially started the cuts or if they're, just announcing that there will be cuts. Uh, but it's not a good time, and it's got to be an uneasy feeling to walk into work and not know if that's going to be your last day, if you're going to be emptying your desk. So, as a father, as a husband, as a provider, my heart goes out to all of them because I can't imagine walking into work and walking out without a job. It's especially nowadays. It's just that's tough, man. That's really really tough.
I've been there. I've been there for a major company, and I walked in one day. There was rumors that there was going to be some changes made, but to have 30 mid to high level managers, including myself, all let go in one day from the city of Las Vegas, and we were just like, that came out of left field, and we were all taken by one as we got into work, and yep, yep. Uh, Yep, sent upstairs, and they told you the not so pretty words, and yeah, there you go. But yeah, I got free
Yeah.
use of a car and got into the games industry as far as retail sales, as far as running video game stores because of it. And I was paid double. I was paid 2 paychecks for 6 months, so it was nice. It was nice. Thank you, Hertz. I appreciate that. Thank you, Hertz. I'll just use your car for another few months. All right. Thank you.
There you go.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it. Yeah, there you go. There you go. That was, I wasn't too broken up about it, especially when the rental car industry is what it is. But still, I saw the faces of dejection and just how it affects not only people that did get laid off, but the people that didn't. And that day, I
Yeah.
remember clearly the faces of all those individuals. Still, like somebody had died. It's like somebody dies when this happens because they just don't know how to react or act to you when it
Mhm.
happens to you, or how to act to others when it happens to them. And that's part of it in this psyche as well. But I will say this again to those people out in the video game industry: if you're getting into the video game industry, understand this is the reality.
Yes.
This is the reality. If you enjoy doing it, I'm not saying not do it, but this is the reality. You've got to be able to not have your feet permanently down in the video game industry, and got to understand the best and smartest people are mobile and versatile. They're
Mhm.
willing to go ahead and jump from a Bungie to a Naughty Dog, or a Naughty Dog to an Obsidian, or an Obsidian to work for Xbox, or Xbox to work for Nintendo. You've got to make sure you're able to go ahead and have the understanding you're willing to move at a moment's notice
Yeah.
for the right positions. And I'll just leave it at that. That's my understanding, TJ, from what I've seen.
No, you're absolutely right, man. And I think when you start to recognize the fact that you're replaceable, and it's such a hard thing for us to have to realize
Oh, you're
as people
always a
that,
number. Unless it's your
yeah, but
company, you're
it's
just a
so
number.
hard for us to realize that as people who put blood, sweat, and tears and years into these positions, into these careers, into these places that pay us money to do so, we're just a number. We're just a cog in the machine. If we keel over right now, the machine doesn't stop. They just replace the part. And once you start to recognize that, and once you start to live in that reality, and not the reality of I'm just going to be loyal for the sake of being loyal, but this reality of I need to be in the business of taking care of me and doing what I have to do to make sure that I have a way to survive. I have a way to continue to provide and have a livelihood, and so on and so forth. You look at things differently, and then you move differently, you respond differently. The way you react to certain things is different. You have to get into the mindset of I have to take care of mine, and whatever that looks like, if that looks like making sure that you keep your your skills up to par. If you learn how to do, you go from doing audio to learning how to do coding, and you learn how to go from coding to learning how to do the marketing side of things. You continue to make yourself versatile and continue to put yourself in a position to be not unfireable, but very fire resistant, or very layoff resistant, whatever terminology you want to use. You put yourself in a position to continue to provide. So, getting into this industry, getting into the gaming industry, you have to be aware that this is, as Gerald said, as you said, G, this is the way we are. This is the way it is. And if you're not willing to be flexible, if you're not willing to be malleable, if you're not willing to pivot and learn new techniques and new tricks, there's the opportunity for you to find yourself without a job. So you have to be flexible in this industry and in this work environment in general, not even just the gaming industry, but just in general.
So there you have it. Our thoughts on Bungie and the layoff. And again, our hearts go out to those that were adversely affected by this within Bungie. But again, when we talk about Xbox's demise, which we will hear in a second, it's not just Xbox; it's the video game industry, where there are few that are feasting and a lot more that are famine, indeed. But again, I do have some hope when I watch Summer Game Fest. I see a lot of new upstart independent developers. I see a lot of AA developers. I see AA returning. I mentioned that to Josh, that AA is back. As far as is concerned, that can be self-sustaining with good stuff going forward. Claire Obscure is a great example of that. So there is hope in the video game industry, but from the big aspect of it, again, if you're not performing at the level needed, it's a tough road indeed. But if you have thoughts on Sony and Bungie as far as the layoffs are concerned, please let us know, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. But the times, they're not great for big companies within the confines of the console space. Xbox, Asha Sharma, again, she's doing the ugly stuff as well. You got to give her credit while she's giving the stuff as far as it's positive. She's also has to do a lot of stuff in negative. She's not BSing. She's putting stuff out there, whether it's just to the she knows all the stuff is going to get out.
Mm-hmm.
So she's making it clear. So she's not pulling any punches. She's talking about the lack of profitability for the Xbox brand. She's talking about the rising costs of components for consoles. So with that said, it was announced that on August 1st, and my gosh, get your stuff in now. Go ahead and buy it now. That Microsoft is going to increase the price of all of its consoles, the Xbox consoles, as far as the Xbox Series is concerned. I have not heard anything on the handhelds yet, because remember, that's Asus more than Xbox on that one. So the Xbox Series S is now $499. I'm just going to give you an idea, TJ. I bought one. I have one sitting there in the box that I bought for under $250. It is now $500 for that Xbox Series. I did not buy it as an investment plan, but all of a sudden it's now an investment plan as far as it's concerned. So with that said, also as well, the Xbox Series S, $499. The Xbox Series S, the 1 terabyte version, is now $600. That's the most egregious one right there. $600 for that underpowered machine, comparatively speaking. That, remember, what was the game that couldn't make a Xbox Series S version, so they had to break with the Xbox Series X version. Only the what was the really good game that came out 2-3 years ago? I'll look it up here in a second, but yeah, it's
Okay.
one of the more popular games that have come out in recent times. As far as that's concerned. And then also as well, Xbox X Series X, 1 terabyte digital or 1 terabyte with the drive. That's $750 without, and $800 with. They are getting rid of the 2 terabytes. So if you want that, collectors, go ahead and find it for the 2 terabyte version. So it'll just be that going forward. Your thoughts, my friend, on this? It's going to be very interesting to see how this shakes out. But man, she doesn't pull any punches, but it doesn't always mean good news for what's coming up for Xbox.
Yeah, I think that in trying to save face, what Phil and uh, the previous head of Xbox were doing, I can't, Sarah Bond, I'm sorry, that was her name, Sarah. What Phil and Sarah did, they did not, they really weren't. You remember the movie Having Fun with Dick and Jane?
Hmm.
I remember how they kind of promoted Jim Carrey's character, and they said, okay, yeah, so you're gonna go out here and you're gonna speak about these talking points, and everything's good, everything's great, everything's great. And all of a sudden, the whole company is on fire, and nobody ever knew. That was kind of what Phil and Sarah were doing. The Xbox has been bleeding money through acquisitions, through underperforming console sales, through Game Pass. The Xbox has bled money for a long time. It's been widely known and just basically accepted that they and all consumers, all console makers, essentially almost lose money on every console that they sell. It's been pretty much the standard in the industry, from what I understand, and I could be wrong. So, Gerald, please correct me if I am. But from what I've been told, it's pretty much understood that they lose money on every console being sold. But with the rising cost of components and how fast those costs are going up, it's not stopping the use of. And I don't know if it's all the use of AI or if it's a lot of it to do with AI. Everybody has an opinion on it, but the fact of the matter is the costs are continuously rising. There's no way for them to get out of this financial hole that they're in without without passing that on to the consumer. Here's the problem. The problem is you are in a position to where you are not winning. You are not Sony. You're not winning right now. You're not winning the hearts. You're not winning the minds. You're not winning the pockets. You're not winning with the consumer. And then on top of the fact that you're not winning with consumer, you're shuttering studios, which we knew was an eventuality, especially because nothing was coming from a lot of those acquisitions that were made. So now you're shuttering studios. You're raising the price of consoles. You're farming off, your big names to other places. So now, what's the point of even having an Xbox if I can go get Xbox content on a PlayStation or on my PC? So they're in a very interesting position, and what's happening, what Asha's doing right now is she's saying, okay, the cards are on the table. This is what we are. This is what we have. This is what we have to work with. This is where we need to go. In order for us to go from here to profitability, there are going to be a lot of changes that are being made. Yes, she gave us a lot of good grace by saying, hey, gaming is too expensive as is. Understanding that gaming is too expensive as is, we're going to bring the cost of Game Pass back down. We need to bring subscribers back to Game Pass. So let's bring the cost of that down. Everything that was on Game Pass was going to stay on Game Pass. We're only going to stop putting out Call of Duty on Game Pass day one. Call of Duty will come to Game Pass in a year, but it won't be day one anymore. We're fine with that. People are okay with that. Whatever. The truth of the matter is there's going to be a lot of bad that has to happen. There's going to be a lot of negative that's going to be coming from the realm of Microsoft, from the way of Microsoft, and it's unfortunate because they really don't have a lot of room for the public outcry that's going to happen, or the scrutiny that's going to be happening because of all these. They don't have a lot of room right now. They don't have a lot of grace. Asha has won some grace with Xbox, and that's great. She's come out. She's been very very upfront. But we live in a digital day and age where you really can't afford not to be. I mean, you look at what again Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond were doing. They weren't upfront about where they were. I mean, they played like they were upfront. Oh yeah, we're not winning. We understand that we're behind. We're third place. Nobody understood exactly how far behind you guys were. Nobody understood exactly how bad Microsoft was bleeding out. To hear that there's an accountability of 2% or 3%, whatever that number was, is just asinine. It's absolutely crazy. With the amount of money that they're bleeding out, there's no way that that can work, and there's no way that it has been working. And the fact that Microsoft had gone so long without being as upfront about where they were as that's the case, um, tells you everything that you need to know. And unfortunately, Asha's been tasked with coming in and kind of cleaning up. Now, a lot of people are saying that she's coming in to put Microsoft in a better position to sunset it off or to sell it off out of to sell it out of Microsoft, and that's the rumor that I've heard. I'm hoping that that's not the case, but um, she has had to come in. She's had a very, very difficult job as far as reestablishing the brand and what it is. And while she's been very upfront and very forthright, it doesn't make her job easy by any stretch of the imagination. And we knew that the honeymoon phase was going to have to end at some point. And so now here we are, you know, 90 days later, talking about, okay, now we got price increases, now we've got studios being shuttered. Now the real work begins. The first 100 days were fun, but now we have to get into the nitty gritty and really get our knees and our elbows and figure this out. We got to put in some work. So we'll see.
We will see, my friend. But it didn't start off the day with the great news, and then also as well, they also talked about with what Josh and I mentioned on the Monday show with the possible closures of at least 3 studios. Telltale, storied developer for many years, for some of the most interesting and out there, outside of the box games in history. Also, as well, Compulsion Games, South of Midnight, that they produced last year. And then also, as well, Ninja Theory, which just debuted the latest Senua game for a possible release next year. Whether that was to showcase it for someone to come in and buy that studio, I would buy that studio in a heartbeat, because not because of Senua games, but the technology, the facial technology and the sound technology from that company is the best, or at the near the best in the industry today. The actual mouth. Okay, first of all, Fable. If you've seen Fable, if you saw the 30-minute developers video from Fable, absolutely looks like a fun game to play. The detail on everything else is just outstanding, until you get to the conversations and the lip syncing, as far as the great voice acting coming out from lips that are just going.
Yeah.
Again, Ninja Theory has excelled at that aspect virtually better than anyone else. The facial technology, looking as human and realistic as possible, photorealistic, is there. It's on the cusp, and Ninja Theory has been a part of it. Their sound design has won them repeated awards as far as it's concerned. So if I was somebody that was interested, that possibly would want to buy them, that'd be the case as well. Telltale, I would imagine, if before they were, in threat of closure, that they would buy themselves out and buy them back into independency. Once again, they would become independent once again. I think that Telltale would probably not close entirely as a studio. It's my guess. It is Compulsion Games, which is a relatively newer, comparing as far as developers are concerned, somewhat newer studio, which might be the one in question indeed. But there are other studios that could suffer layoffs, as we saw with Bungie and whatnot. So things are not great with Xbox right now, indeed, as they try to recycle and try to reform for a future that might still have them in the video game conversation.
It's unfortunate, but as she mentioned, as Asha did mention, it's necessary, and these are the steps that we have to take. We got to find a way to get it back to profitability, and that's what that's what they are trying to do. And I just hope that it's not too little, too late.
I just hope it's not too little, too late as well. I'm hoping to see that if we can get what we need to, as far as from Xbox, and that it will get to where we need it to be. That would be something I would just hoping for, that they'll give it one last good run. They'll promote it the way they need to promote it, and advertise it the way they need to advertise it with Project Helix. But we will wait and see, my friend. But it is Xbox going through some more dark times, but we've got you covered with what's going on with Xbox seemingly every week. And I'd love to just not have to talk about Xbox, but we have to talk about Xbox, and we'll continue to do so right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But speaking of raising prices on consoles, our friends at Steam, the once much beloved Steam, as far as their prices are concerned, their value as far as the PC gaming industry, kind of taking a little bit of a knock here and there. They recently announced a $300 price hike, I think, with the Steam Deck, if I'm not mistaken. and have followed that up with the announcement of the Steam Machine, which starts with a whopping 512 hard drive and no controller. No controller for over $1,000. That just blew me away. That just absolutely
Yeah,
blew me away. That we're here in
yeah,
a day where you just, I mean, laptops come with larger size hard drives at that price, my friend. What is going on with Steam? It's a nice little box, but it's a little niche thing that again a lot of people really don't need to have, because if it's not gonna just it's just gonna be too expensive for something that's only going to be doing so much. It just really doesn't make sense at this point in time.
yeah. I don't know the thought process behind this one. I don't know the rationale. I'm not sure who this is marketed towards as far as their demographic, their targeting demographic. I don't know which consumer is looking to purchase a little cube for $1,000 that is not powerful enough to run 4K at 60 frames per second. They can get up to 4K, but they can't do 4K at 60 frames per second. You're already not stronger than a base model PS5, and you're charging over $1,000 with the controller. And we're talking about 512 gigabytes. And I don't know many games that you're going to be able to get onto a 512 gigabyte anything. My Xbox Series S is 512 gigabytes, and I can't get very much on there game
Mine's sitting in the
wise.
box that's now gaining me a profitability.
Yeah.
It's 512 megabytes. Just keep adding.
Yeah,
It's okay.
just
Just
keep
keep adding.
going. Just keep swimming.
Just
Just
keep
keep
growing.
swimming.
Just keep investing. Little did I
But
know it was an
I just
investment.
don't understand. I don't understand the rationale or the thought process. I
Forget you,
mean,
Pokemon. I've got the true investment with Xbox.
at least I get to, have my Steam lineup be able to be played on a T. Oh wait, I have a Steam Deck for that already. So I don't understand the target demographic. I don't understand who they're aiming towards, and especially getting into a quote unquote console or PC. Yes, you can build a PC with similar specs, and it may cost you more than $1,000, but then you can upgrade those specs. I don't know what you can do with the Steam Deck, and then if it's a PC, am not running it on my television, or I don't know. I don't know who it's marketed towards. I don't understand it. I don't understand the thought process behind it, especially at that price point. If you're going to tell me that that was a $500 machine or a $550 machine, okay, that's not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. I mean, considering the fact that the Series S is $500 now at this point, which is what the entry price was for the Series X, by the way, back when it released in 2020, 2021, 2020, whenever it released. It was $500 then for the Series X, and now that $500 is for a Series S, is pretty crazy to me. But anyways, I digress. This Steam machine is
I bought my
just,
Xbox Series X, just to give you an idea. TJ, I bought my Xbox Series X for $150 less than what the Xbox Series S will be priced at on August the 1st.
yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely crazy. I'm grateful that I have my X and my S, and I don't have to worry about another thing. I've got I bought an X when it first came out. I bought an S a little while later just to have a backup one. And I bought my daughter an S before all this stuff took off. And had I known then what I know now, I would have probably bought a couple more and just tried to pawn them off later on because the price was going to shoot up. But yes, as far as the Steam Deck is concerned, or the Steam Machine, excuse me, I don't know who was marketed towards, and I don't know what the thought process was with actually coming out and saying we're going to charge $1,000 for it, without a console, sans controller, and sans any real type of memory. 512 gigabytes is really nothing. You got an SD card up front, okay, yay. A micro SD card, yay, that's nice. Uh, but I don't know who this is for. I don't understand it. I really don't. I was thinking about it and trying to understand who this would be geared towards or what enthusiasts this would be geared towards. And I mean, I know that they say, okay, well, I could just buy a PC. I could just build my own PC. But a lot of people don't want to build PCs now, and I get that, because they are time consuming. There are parts that go into it, and some people just don't want to put the work in anymore. They just want to purchase something that works right out of the box. Uh, However, I just don't see this doing enough from a console standpoint to warrant separation from, like, let's say Xbox. Steam's doing a lot of things that Xbox already does. The Steam machine is doing things that Xbox already does. I just don't see. I don't see who this is geared towards. I really don't. Now I'm trying to be optimistic about it, but I know Valve tried to do this before and it didn't work. So I don't know what Steam is going to do that's really going to make it any better. Besides significantly slashing the price point, and I don't think that that's going to happen anytime soon.
And the fact is that the entry level model that you're spending over $1,000 on, 1,049 for the 512 gigabyte model, the box, the Steam machine box, doesn't come with a proprietary controller that absolutely looks really good. It's gotten really good reviews. It's already available. It's already out, but somehow it is seemingly coming in at that price. Then you have to spend almost $100 more with the 512 with the Steam controller at 1128. Then 2 terabyte model with no controller at 1349, and then a 2 terabyte with the Steam controller at $1,428. Absolutely, just this is something that, again, you do not need it, and it's just something to accent your living room, and that's all. And that's just not worth spending that kind of money on.
Not $1,430 on it, no, sir.
Not at all, indeed. But if you have thoughts on the Steam machine, are you going to get one? Is it a good value to you? Because it's certainly not to us. But if you have thoughts on the Steam machine and its announced pricing, please let me know, and let TJ know as well, because we want to definitely hear how you could justify it.
I just want to know who you are. Who are you?
Yes.
Who are you?
Well, there's the Steam heads. Just like, we talked about before, Apple bringing out some, just amazing stuff. There was was it a monitor or was it a laptop that came out just like really at this expensive price a couple years back for something at like several $1,000s, and people were still buying it just because it's Apple. If you're a Steam head, if you're an Apple head, you're a Steam head, you're Nintendo head, Sony head, whatever. If you are a huge fan of that, you'll buy it at any price, and they know they got you on that. So there are some Steam heads out there that are going to buy this, but yeah, if you are one of those, please let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, it has been a informative episode. I can't say a great episode because we've been talking about a lot of depressing things. But we want to get everybody up to speed on the news, because the news in video game world is not all that chipper right now. But EVO 2026 is coming out. Any last thoughts as far as this fighting game tournament, which is owned by PlayStation? Hello, owned by PlayStation. I think is the quintessential moment of esports, and the fact that it was once thought of earlier this decade as esports is going to blow up big time. And even though it's still popular, it's great when we're on Twitch. A lot of people watching it. A lot of people watching League of Legends, all that stuff. There's still, thousands of people that'll go see it in arena. But like we talk about with Nintendo heads and Sony heads and Apple heads and Steam heads, there is a strict base for this, and it never went beyond that as far as the audience. ESPN, they tried, nothing could get this to a larger market base and a larger viewing audience.
Yeah, it's funny when you look at Evo and esports in general. We were really expecting it to take off, and it's not that it's not, like you said, it's not that it's not popular. It's still popular, but it never took off the way that I think pundits and talking heads and then you and I were really kind of expecting it to. I think the problem really for esports, and honestly for the Evo tournament in general, is that there's too many games. It'd be different if they said we're going to focus on Mortal Kombat, we're going to focus on Street Fighter 6. Like this is the Evo. If you want to play Evo, the game of the year is going to be Street Fighter 6, and then that when people pour their hard-earned efforts and time and money and whatever they say into Street Fighter 6, and that's what's going to be at the Evo tournament. Or they're going to have a tournament that only has maybe 3 games. So maybe you do Street Fighter 6, you do Mortal Kombat, and then you have a random Dragon Ball Fighter Z, or so, I don't know, something along those lines. But I think right now there's too many games, and that there's it's almost hard to kind of focusing on a particular game or particular one particular type of game. Because there's so many different variables. Now, granted, I know the variety is kind of the spice of life, and it keeps things interesting, and the competition breeds, innovation in that way. However, there's too many things that are pulling people's attention away right now, and esports is just not. It's not where people were thinking it was going to be, 5, 6, 7 years ago. So I mean, I knew it was coming. I didn't know exactly when it was going to be here. I didn't know where it was going to, or how quickly it was popping up. I knew it was coming, but it wasn't on my radar like that, because honestly, esports is just not what it once was. And that's very scary to say. We were just talking about esports a couple years ago, and now here we are, and the realm has been very, very quiet. So
Everybody bought into esports.
yeah.
And now so many are buying out and cashing out and not having much to show for it. But there is still some pockets of light in the esports world. And one of those is EVO 2026. So if you have thoughts on esports or EVO 2026, League of Legends, or any of the great esports still events that take place all around this world, but not quite to the level I think it's what we wanted to see, or many wanted to see, please let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. TJ, it has been a great episode. Cannot thank you enough for being a part of it all, as always. Any last thoughts before we head on out?
You might need to get a second or third job, maybe sell a kidney or two. If I'm gonna purchase a steam machine, I might need to. I don't know if you guys are hiring. If you got any ideas on where I can get another job from, Gerald, because it's getting expensive out here. It's getting hard out here for a gamer.
I've got it for you right here, my friend. It's one word. Plasma, my friend. Plasma. Sell that plasma. So for TJ Johnson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.
Don't be alarmed. The quasi-shimmering light before you is a trans-dimensional gateway to other worlds, other voices, other thoughts, and other realities. Up feels like down, and down feels like the number 7 on a Wednesday morning. Don't worry. That quivering, blood-boiling sensation under your eyebrows is all a part of the charm. Welcome to the PCC Multiverse.